Governor Romney, both Senator Santorum and Speaker Gingrich have said during your tenure as governor, you required Catholic hospitals to provide emergency contraception to rape victims. And, Mr. Speaker, you compared the governor to President Obama, saying he infringed on Catholics' rights. Governor, did you do that?
Nope, absolutely not. Of course not. There was no requirement in Massachusetts for the Catholic Church to provide morning after pills to rape victims. That was entirely voluntary on their part. There was no such requirement.
After that statement by Mitt Romney last night, the Boston Globe corrected the record today. In December 2005, Romney's public health commissioner ruled that a pre-existing law gave Catholic hospitals the right to opt out of the new law on religious or moral grounds. The ruling sparked criticism, and Romney's legal counsel reversed course and concluded that the new law did not provide a religious exemption. A new Quinnipiac poll shows President Obama barely ahead of Mitt Romney, 46 to 44%. But among women voters who make up more than half of the general election electorate, the president has a significant advantage over Mitt Romney, 49% to 41%. And in that same poll, when voters were asked if President Obama cares about the needs and problems of women, 65% of women voters said yes, 64% of all voters said yes, and 65% of independent voters said yes. Asked if Mitt Romney cares about the needs and problems of women, only 34% of women voters said yes. 41% of all voters said yes, and 40% of independents said yes. Joining me now is Maggie Haberman, a senior writer for Politico. Maggie, it seems like contraception politics are going to be with us for a while. Now, we have the Nebraska Attorney General announcing that they're filing suit along with 6 other states, a total of 7 states, challenging what became President Obama's final compromise position on requiring employers to provide contraception services and coverage in their health insurance plans. This is certainly going to keep the issue alive no matter what the Republican candidates say about this. Do you think the Republican candidates would have preferred a world in which they get to decide when they might want to shut up about this and have it go away?
I think this certainly has not played out well for the Republicans. I think there is a general sense the Republicans, especially congressional Republicans, overplayed their hand with the hearing about this. It really gave Democrats, there's that video of Carolyn Maloney from New York, a congresswoman, asking where are the women on this topic. I think this has become something that Republicans have lost some control of on the narrative. I don't think it's perfect for the Democrats either. But I do think that Republicans would like to be talking about the economy. I don't think social issues is necessarily where they want to be. It is dragging the party much further to the right than a lot of members would like to be, with, as you said, women voters in the fall, a key swing bloc who a lot of independent women, a lot of suburban women don't love this conversation.
And Maggie, in 2008, President Obama had ended up when all the votes were counted, 13-point lead over his Republican with women. If he maintains a 13-point lead with women going into this election, is there any mathematics in which the Republican can take that win away, the victory away?
I think there are, but I think it becomes challenging. I think this is very much an election that's going to be about 2% and 3% margins in terms of specific voting groups. You're going to have Hispanic voters in certain states. You're going to have in a smaller number of states Jewish voters. You're going to have women voters. You're going to have independent voters. That would be a very high margin. It would sort of depend on where it is spread out. But I think, again, this is not an issue right now. There is a reason that Democrats are so excited about watching Rick Santorum. Granted, Rick Santorum does connect better with white working-class voters who President Obama has had troubles with over the last several years in terms of reclosing the sale after doing well in his election in 2008. But I think that ultimately there is a feeling that Santorum gins up the base for the Democrats, that he is problematic in terms of women voters. They would much rather face him than Mitt Romney. And Mitt Romney, as you heard his language last night at the debate, is tacking further right because he is in a primary that is in the middle of in a party that's in the middle of a hard right moment.
Maggie, let's listen to the way Elizabeth Warren is using this in a radio ad in her campaign in Massachusetts.
I'm Elizabeth Warren. A few days ago, I watched a congressional hearing about birth control, where the panel of experts did not include even one woman. Wow, Washington really doesn't get it. Now the Senate is about to vote on a new law proposed by Republicans that allows your employer or insurance company to claim a vague moral conviction to deny you contraception or any health care coverage they want. This new law threatens women's access to contraception, mammograms, even maternity care. It's just plain wrong.
Maggie, in a state like Massachusetts, that seems like the winning position.
I think so. I mean, again, it remains to be seen. I think that you may have seen perhaps, if not a permanent, but a semi-permanent shift in the electorate since Scott Brown's election, and there are other factors. But I do think that that is going to be a compelling ad. I think it's going to work with certain segments of the voters. On the other hand, you also have a lot of Catholic voters in Massachusetts. So it is a bit dicier in that particular election. But I do think overall, I think that this has been the way that hearing played out, the way this issue has played out, has been, generally speaking, better for the Democrats than the Republicans.
Politico's Maggie Haberman, thank you very much for joining me tonight.
Thank you.